What's up, Phillies fans? Welcome into the Phightins final. I'm Big Al, bringing you not such great news today. Phillies lost, if you haven't heard, down 3-2 to the best team in baseball right now, American League East leading Baltimore Orioles. 3-2 by the score. It sounds like it was a close game, but there is no moral victories in baseball. Only W's get you to the playoffs. But certain narratives continue. Trey Turner struggles became real tonight. We'll get into that in a few minutes. The Castellanos continues to struggle, though has a timely hit tonight that hopefully maybe will be what he needs to get out of it. Bryson Stott continues to shine even when the team doesn't. Some managerial moves or lack of move that may have been the difference in the win in against, like I said, the best team in baseball right now. But I'll remind you guys that this show is brought to you by Sherry'sTickets.com. Go to Sherry'sTickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. Sherry's Tickets got sports theaters, concerts, you name it, they got it. So you want to head down to a game, you want great seats, but you don't want to pay at the nose for it. You don't want hidden fees at the end. You go to Sherry'sTickets.com. Use the promo code EOP10. Get yourself 10% off and enjoy just in saving money and having a great time and getting to those great events that maybe normally you wouldn't be able to afford to or miss. But go to Sherry'sTickets.com and for all your needs. So let's break this game down. Offensively, they were cold again for the most part. The pitcher Baker that they went up against, I mean, he's not their best pitcher, but again, doesn't matter. They tend to struggle even against the not so great pitcher. So it is like I said, one of the narratives that continue. This game and many games like it recently have been the difference between moving up in the standings, moving up in the wild card standings, even moving up in the NLE standings. I mean, the Braves have been a little bit on the downside. In their last 10 games, they're 4-6. But we're not much better at 5-5 with the Marlins ahead of us now at 2-8 in their last 10. We have given up opportunity after opportunity for to gain ground, to put some teams in the rear view and to move forward. And part of us is lucky for all the teams around us losing. Like I said, San Fran is losing, lost today. Like kept us right there. They're tied with Miami for that third wild card spot. Arizona, they're a 4-game losing streak. Cincinnati is on a 5-game winning streak. But we're only a game behind them. So we're lucky. We're lucky this is where it's at. But you got teams like Chicago are 5 games behind us and 5.5 games behind us, San Diego. And even given the Mets and other teams that are pretty much you should think out of it, time to come. Maybe we don't have to be sellers. Maybe we can stay pat, not give away our star players or give away our good players, our future players to another team because we're not that far out of it. And if the other teams keep losing and we can win a couple, we can string a couple together. We're not out of it. So this is a narrative, and it's going to be the most frustrating part of the next couple months, especially if the Phillies continue to kind of play the seesaw game with the other teams in the NL. So we'll get into that. But let's talk about tonight's game, 3-2. Let's talk about one of the sweeter spots of tonight was pitching. And Jessica, hello. I didn't forget about you. I know I flashed up on the screen. It was a game. It was a good game. It was one of those cardiac kid type moments at the end of the game. So close, but not close enough because, like I said, there's no moral victories in baseball. You hope you can build off certain things. But another loss in against the really, like I said, one of the best teams in baseball. I mean, this is where those losses in the series against Cleveland, against the Nationals, against the Marlins, all these teams that you could beat and should beat, they're going to come back and haunt you. But like I said, we're going to talk about tonight's game. Christopher Sanchez. I mean, for the longest time now, all I hear about is the fifth starting pitcher. The man has been better than any one of the better fifth starting pitchers in the league right now. And we are lucky to have him. Get a guy at W would be nice. It would be nice to let him finally, just get a W and for all the work he's done. It's the longest game I think he's had. He went 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, no walks, 8 Ks, which I think is also a career milestone for him with a 2.98 ERA. I mean, what more can you ask for from your fifth start, especially a team who's built to slug their way out of problems? This team couldn't slug their way out of a brown paper bag sometimes, it feels like. Certain guys more than others. And we're going to talk about a couple of those guys in a moment. But, I mean, they went up against Kremer, who also went 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And he's posting a 4.59 ERA. So, I mean, it's, this is the kind of stuff, like I said, will haunt you. Will haunt this team. And when you look back at it, and this team is in a run for either the wild card or something, you're gonna look back at these other games and like, man, if they just strung a couple timely hits together in a couple games, wow, what a world of a difference it would be. But it's this. I said this weeks ago. This is who they are. This is what baseball is right now, apparently, according to the standings. Because any of these teams could have ran away with it, but the wild card position between the tied third place wild card spot, second and first place, and the one place us right outside the wild card looking in is a half a game difference. Or I'm sorry, 1.5 games difference. That's it. That's it. After all this losing we've been watching, and that's great and all that, and it's good if we're struggling. Hopefully, this is we can start getting out of it. But it is frustrating to watch. It makes baseball dramatic and interesting, but at times stressful. And we're gonna get into the scoring and how it all went down. But I'll remind you guys that this is brought to you by PhillySportsTrips.com. Talking about going to a Phillies game, go out to San Diego with Philly Sports Trips and checking the Phillies game. Go to Petco Park, beautiful San Diego in September. Oh my God, doesn't get much better than that. Going out with them, get the trip, get the flight, get the hotel, get the party atmosphere, because that's what it is. It is more than just tickets and an airplane and a hotel room. It is just an experience. Check it out. And if you want to put your deposits down now, go out to London. Oh my God, what a once in a lifetime opportunity the Philly Sports Trips will have there for you. And trust me, you might be more affordable than you think, because a lot of people think that's just never going to be affordable to me. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com. Talk to Vince. Talk to them. Trust me. There's things I've done with them that I never thought I'd be able to afford to do, but they do it. They do it well. So check out PhillySportsTrips.com. And also with the Eagles season starting up, NFL football season starting up, technically tomorrow. But the away games are all, they're all set up. Bus trips, overnight trips, flying out to wherever. You name it, they got it. Go to PhillySportsTrip.com. Think about Christmas coming up, birthdays, whatever. You're looking for a present, shop no harder, shop no further. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com and check it out. All right, guys. So let's talk about the scoring of tonight's game. It started off at the top of the second with Jordan Westberg when he homered after one of the few mistakes that Christopher Sanchez made, making it 1-0 Baltimore. It was like that to the bottom of the fifth when Kyle Schwarber hit a sac fly and he scored Garrett Stubbs, making it 1-1. But that was a short-lived tie, because in the top of the sixth, Ryan Mountcastle homered the second and the other mistake. Only other mistake that Christopher Sanchez made against the best team in baseball right now, making it 2-1 Baltimore, taking the lead back to Baltimore, or giving the lead back to Baltimore. Bottom of the eighth, Nick Castellanos, big time moment, really well needed single line drive to center field, scores Kyle Schwarber. Bryce Harper comes book around. Wafton was telling him to come along because the center fielder early in the game threw a noodle of a ball, thought he had this dead to rights. And he did throw a noodle of a ball, but it was cut off by the shortstop or second baseman. I forget who it was. The shortstop. Yeah, Mateo. That was who it was. The shortstop. And he threw a bullet to the catcher, James McCann. And McCann tagged Harper out at the last second, ending the inning, but tying the game up 2-2. And that was at top of the ninth. Craig Kimbrell comes in, and he 1-2, gets 2 guys out, scores on a line drive that just stayed fair. Kyle Schwarber reached out, put his body on the line to get it, but ultimately was not fast enough to get to the ball in time. allowing the score to happen. And the Phillies made it interesting in the ninth. A couple moments seemed like they had a chance, but that chance fell apart. And ultimately, it was a loss for your Phightins, 3-2 against the best team in baseball, Baltimore Orioles, who are now 62-38, and we sit at 53-47. Let's hit some of these comments up. Jeff, what's going on, Jeff? I didn't see the play that people were talking about the catch that wasn't. Why wouldn't Thompson challenge it? That is a good question. And I guess somebody told them that maybe they felt the ball was in the glove long enough that it would be considered a catch. And I think it was the the big difference there, I think, was the timing of the game. If it was later in the game, maybe. But I know the announcers thought it was. I know both radio and TV were saying it. It seemed that way when they were playing it. It seemed like that in instant replay. The ball was in his glove, it hits the ground, and it rolls out of his glove. In baseball, I'm understanding that it is not a catch by the rules. Why it wasn't challenged, and this is one of the comments, one of the things I was going to bring up, so I'm glad you brought it up, Jeff. I don't know. I just guess they felt it was too risky and not worth the challenge at that point, and that's why they didn't go that way. Walt, always Walt and Jeff, you guys are, and Jess, you guys always, I love the chiming in. That double play ball in the eighth killed it. Thought Sosa would have been pinch hit would have got more runs without the double play. Yeah. I mean, that's hindsight right there. What I was talking about is now people, you can go either way with this, and I can understand why somebody would, decide if it was a good move or a bad move. But Kyle Schwarber, they thought they should have been pitch ran for. And that might have made a difference in this game, because if he was pitch ran for, say, Brandon Marsh was the guy, that means Brandon Marsh would have been out in left field, and there's a good chance Brandon Marsh would have made that play. So, but the thought process is Kyle Schwarber's spot could come up again, and you may want him hitting in that moment. It's hindsight at this point. If Kyle Schwarber makes that miraculous catch, and he looks stellar, you're not gonna question it. Maybe you will still. I don't know. Gary's chomping in here. Umpire screwed us too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're right. There was, I mean, actually lately, Gary and everybody else listening along, like, I want to ask you a question. Like, is it just me, or does it seem like there's been a lot more questionable pitch calls, strike and ball calls over the last, I don't know, maybe it's just because you're struggling. It seems more vivid when you see it on TV and you're watching the box. I know the box not 100%, but there's some things that were definitely should have been called differently, and they weren't. So, Gary, I get your feeling. So let's talk about some of those. Let's talk about one of the storylines of tonight. And real quick, I'm going to remind you that this is brought to you by David R. Cherry, the Cherry Firm, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, you name it. He will fight for your rights. 610-565-0300. Call David, 610-565-0300, or simply go to cherryinjurylaw.com. One of the storylines, and it's a continued storyline, but it reared its ugly head tonight, was the Trey Turner storyline. Now, I've been on the defense of Trey Turner. I'm like, oh, he's a guy who's going to get out of it. This season's kind of been blasé at best, I guess is a good way of putting it. And tonight, 2 errors in the field. I think it's 12 on the season. That's no bueno in baseball, especially when you're, again, playing the best team in baseball right now, and you're trying to make a run and get some headway in the standings here. But in the sixth inning, he argued, which what Gary might have said, we got screwed by the umpire, where it was a close one. If you go back and look at it, it was like right on the line. There's like paper thin space between the line on the box and where the baseball was marked on the screen. So, but Trey Turner did not take kindly to it. He was arguing with the ref, not in a bad way. Like, he took his stuff off and he threw it towards the ball boy, or the bat boy, and he, if I wasn't exactly sure because they went to a commercial when it happened. If he was throwing him out because of that, or if he was just thrown out because he was arguing balls and strikes. But I think that was a little bit of a short fuse. I think it's also the short fuse of Trey Turner, which I kind of tweeted out during the game. Like, it's just the kind of thing that Trey Turner needs. That, maybe he needed a little wake up call. Maybe he needed to get kicked out. Maybe he needed to get thrown out. Maybe he needed to go in the back and blow off some steam. Maybe he just needs to get his head straight, whatever it is. We heard about it with Nick Castellanos last year. I mean, the move, the change, getting used to the city, getting used to getting his family together. I'm hoping it doesn't take the whole season, but it took Nick Castellanos that, and look the difference we've seen with him, even though he's going to be the next topic of the struggles as of lately. I mean, overall, Nick Castellanos had a great season, but he's been struggling as of lately. Walt wants to know the best team in AL, and he starts 3 subs. Why? That was one of my other topics for the night, so I'll jump into it. Walt, well, thank you for bringing it up. I said some of the things were the questionable decisions, and one of them I said, of course, was the one with not pinch running Kyle Schwarber and not having him in a defensive change out there. But it is it the 3 subs thing. It's quite that Walt, I don't know either, man. I did somebody get hurt? Did somebody need a day off? I don't understand why. But you had like, let's look at this. You had Stubbs in there. JT didn't start. Jake Cave was at first base, and Rojas was in there at center field. So I don't know if he was just giving guys a day off. He thought some guys needed a break. I don't know. I don't know. It's a questionable call. Again, if they win this game and these guys come through, he looks like a genius. But these are the moments that kind of scratch your head of why don't you have your best players in here against the best team in the league. So Walt, yeah, it's a big question why. You should add another couple question marks at the end of that comment because it's a doozy. Here comes Matty B. Matty, I'm not blaming the umps. Relax, Mr. Umpire. I know how you are. It was a poor offensive approach. I agree. But there is some when you're struggling, and as you know this, it's highlighted. It is very much highlighted when you struggle, when their call is questionable. And it's going to make things even more questionable because it just compounds on top of the crap you're dealing with. You know what I mean? That's I'm not blaming I rarely ever blame the umps unless it's drastic. But there was some that could have made a large difference in the game that was questionable. They were very questionable, and then questionable about the Trey Turner throwout. I mean, you don't argue balls and strikes. I get it, but it didn't seem aggressive. That's what I look for when I get thrown out for a guy. He can talk to you like, listen, maybe as an ump you'll learn something from what he's telling you, and you won't make a mistake like that again. So you should be open to the conversation. But I don't know why he threw him out exactly because, like I said, they went to commercial at that time. Why do you send Harper too? So Dusty Wafton sends Harper after Kyle Schwarber because, and they said it on I think they said it on the during the game, like right after it happened, and I think they said it in the 7th inning when they said it when they're doing a little break in between when they're going back to the studio. I think it's because the guy out in center field threw the ball earlier and just threw a noodle type ball, and they figured, okay, well maybe we can send him on this. But, Harper was trucking, he could make this, and he did throw a noodle type ball, but Mateo was the one who cut it off, but he threw a bullet spot on, allow the catcher to get in there and just get right in under the sleeve of Bryce Harper. So again, if he makes that, we're cheering it. If he doesn't make it, it's ridiculous. It's one of those things. A split second makes a world of a difference. I'm okay with aggressiveness. It would have been nice if it worked out in our favor, but I'm okay because like sometimes when you struggle in other areas, you got to steal bases, you got to be aggressive, you got to look for other ways to score and manufacture runs. So I wasn't totally against it. I really wasn't. I mean, that was a split second differential right there. It wasn't like he was thrown out a mile away. So I mean, like I said, if it worked out, this conversation wouldn't be had. Harper was sent because it was a 3-2 count and he was already motoring. Yeah. Well, I mean, he was already speeding. He was already moving. Dusty saw him moving. Saul was the center field playing it, and the center fielder had a kind of a lollipop kind of throw earlier in the game, and he just kind of went with it. So, like again, I'm not upset. It's because they lost. That's why you're upset about the call. I mean, by the judgment call, and it was a split second. Why are bats dead this year? They aren't hitting like they were last year. Well, the bats aren't as dead as you think they are. I mean, if you look back to last year, a lot of the batting averages, except for some guys, are actually better than they were. Bryson Stotts was better than his was last year. Nick Castellanos was better than he was last year. Brandon Marsh was better than me last year. Let me see. Hold on one second at this time of year. Alec Boehm was either close or about the same. He's batting at 279 right now. JT, he actually got a little hotter at this point last year, so he's probably down. Harper's is getting better. I mean, he's at 293. He was not even batting or playing this time last year. So that's a plus. So they're not as bad as they look because they're not too far off of where they were in 2022. I don't want to try to repeat the same exact carbon copy thing of 2022, but it's not as bad as it looks. It just feels that way. I mean, I remember doing the post game shows a lot with Matty Beeble before we were doing them solo this year, and we were going back and forth, and he was down and out on some guys and down and out like this team was going to even make the playoffs. And believe me, it wasn't. We forgot how close it was. It was like the third to last game of the season when they finally they clinched it. And luckily, they're playing against the Houston Astros, who ultimately won the World Series against us. But they were already in it, so they had not much to win, but a lot to lose. So you're not going to play your best players. So we were able to get in there, and Aaron Nola was able to shut it out and get us into the playoffs for the first time in a while. But it, like I said, it's not as doom and gloom as it is. And thank God. Like I'm already getting to this in a second. We're going to be talking about the wild card standing. We're going to talk about the NL East standings and all that stuff. We're going to talk all about that in a minute. And thank God things are playing out the way they are, because it could be a lot more gross looking right now. I mean, like take about look at we're going to talk about the AL East. I mean, right now, if we would look at the worst team in the AL East is better than most teams in other divisions and other parts of the NL and AL. So that's a thing to look at. Elaine's chiming in here. Hey, Elaine, what didn't that Hicks catch get? Why didn't that? I guess she's saying, why didn't that? Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier, and it's a good question. It really is a good question. It's one of those conundrums. That's the one bad thing about doing this. I wish I could be listening to Rob Thompson's answer, which I'll go back on Twitter and hopefully maybe I'll answer it on EOP Sports Twitter and Facebook for you guys. After this game, I'm sure one of my guys are in it looking at it right now here at Edge of Philly Sports, and maybe I would love to hear what Tomper is saying about that call or that non-call, I should say, or not call of a challenge, because I think part of it is it would probably been too close and it was too early in the game for them to feel comfortable to call it. If that was later in the game, maybe they would have called it. And if it was overturned, does it make much of a difference? I don't know. That's another thing. The homers are down. The power is down. Gary, you're absolutely right. The power is down. But also the power was up, but the strikeouts were also a lot. I don't know. I have to look at the numbers. Matty B, if you're still listening, are the strikeouts much different than they were this time of last year? I'll have to look into that stat. I don't have that off the top of my head. Let's see. Walt, I expect Walker to beat Kyle Gibson tomorrow. I expect the Phillies to win a lot more other times too. Well, what we expect and what we get isn't always what it is. You know what I mean? But I actually kind of thought they were going to sweep the Orioles. Because that's the kind of team that we have to deal with here. That is the Phillies in a nutshell. You'll go out to Cleveland and get you'll lose the series to them and the Marlins and other teams that aren't that great, but then you'll come play the best team in baseball and do really well against them. So that's a plus. Gary, yes, absolutely. The bullpen is hugely improved from last year. And even the starting pitching was too. I mean, the starting pitching was really good. Don't get me wrong. You had Zach Wheeler. And even Aaron Nola had a good year last year. Aaron Nola had a down year. Wheeler hasn't had the greatest year, but he hasn't had a bad year either. Even a bad year for Wheeler is better than most. But what we're getting from Ranger, what we're getting from Taijuan Walker has been unexpected. Ranger a little bit more expected, but I mean, some of the games that they give you are just phenomenal. And Christopher Sanchez, again, big kudos to him. I feel like he gets flown on the radar. Yeah, you're the fifth starter. You're going to do that when the team struggles. Maybe he would have got a little bit more love tonight if they won the game. It would be nice for them to get him a W for all the hard work he's been doing. But yes, the bullpen and starting pitching has been greatly improved. And like I said, he's a 2.9. You're starting. Listen, if you're fifth in the rotation's 2.98 ERA, I'll take it. Take that any day. You hold the best team to baseball. I mean, the best team in baseball to a run. I mean, to 2 runs. I'm sorry. Yeah. What more could you ask for? That's why, and I go back to what Matty B was saying. This was an offensive letdown. This team was. I'm wondering if guys were sitting, and that just kind of popped in my head because you guys are answering questions, and keep it coming, guys. I love talking with you guys. I'm wondering if a couple guys were sitting because they're struggling. I mean, look who sat tonight. Alec Boehm, a little struggling at the plate recently. JT Realmuto, struggling at the plate recently. And what's his name? Why am I completely Marsh? He didn't play tonight either. So there's another one, and I like Rojas. And there's another guy, kind of like a guy I really hope to watch him grow a little bit more and play a little bit more. He was 2 for 4 tonight. It was a little nerve wracking to see him come out at the end of the game when they're down and their last out. But again, maybe they needed somebody like that, like a Pache did down in Miami, and have a big time hit would put this team ahead and give them a walk-off style win, because that would but again, the team's struggling. You could make a change, you could still strike out. What's the difference, right? So why is Nolan Wheeler struggling? If I had those answers, I'd be working for the Phillies probably, Gary, to be honest with you. Wheeler, I mean, he's not old, but he's not young either. And when your offense struggles, it affects your pitching, because you got to pitch harder and you try to be more precise, and you try to hit those targets smack on, and that that's a big reason why you get offensive or starting pitchers to struggle sometimes. But I think Aaron Nola's issue is a little between the ears, to be honest with you. In the beginning of the season, my partner on Wednesday nights at 8:30 on EOP Live, Joe Sheeran, we talked about like how they were in conversations with Nola to try to extend him. They came to a halt. They said they want to worry about the season. I think the uncertainty of his future is a little bit in his head, and he's worried about making good money, and he bet on himself, and it's kind of backfiring a little bit. We can see when Aaron Nola is good, it is real good, but when Aaron Nola is bad, it's real bad. It struggles. He always has that one inning where you can go 1, 2, 3 inning, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and it's that 4th or 5th inning and just implodes. That hasn't happened as bad over the last few starts for him, but it's still a worry. So, the other thing is, and if you want, Cade Coffin was working with him today. I don't know if you guys saw any of the videos on Twitter or anything. They're working on grip with him with different pitches. So I'm wondering if that's part of it. If he might either be letting his pitch go a little too early, or holding on a little too long, and that's why he's missing his marks. And the one thing I'll give Noel a little credit for, I mean, he's the one big problem he had in the beginning of the year was struggling with runners in scoring position pitching versus nobody on base. That's gotten a little better over this time frame. Hasn't been great, but better. So hopefully working with him with holding the pitch. And if the funny thing is, it looks like he was going over like pitch grips, but I think he was going over releases. So maybe that's it. Maybe they're seeing something. They're watching some video and they're going back to it, and they're seeing his release is a little earlier, a little late, and that's why he's off his mark and he's leaving things in the zone. So we'll find out. Why was Cave on first instead of left field? Well, again, but I mean, because Boehm didn't play, so the only other person I think would play first base right now is Bryce Harper, and they're gonna do every other day with him, so he wasn't going to, he wasn't playing the field. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know why all these guys, but like I said, I wasn't against Jay Cave. I like Jay Cave. He might be a guy who can get you some hits off the bench, so you give guys a spell, that kind of stuff in these long stretches. But I would have. It's the Kyle Schwarber still being in there at the end when you could have pitch ran for him, especially when you needed a run to get across in the eighth, as well as a defensive liability. Because and give Kyle Schwarber credit. That was a diving. He put his body on the line. He did not like. It's not like he just kind of meandered over there or missed plays on. Like he really tried. If there was somebody who was a little speedier, a little bit better defensively, probably much higher chance of he making that. But why Jay Cave at first base? I don't know. It looked like he's trying to get a lot of people off, a lot of time off, and I'm wondering it's because these guys who have been currently not 100% and struggling a little bit. I mean, Bryson Stott, they didn't give him the day off. So those are different things. So to look at. Let's see. Walls had another flopper puts Bohm in the ninth hit. JT walk, but there are already 2 outs. Bohm shouldn't have batted for Sosa in the eighth. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know why you give all 3 of those guys a day off at the same time, to be honest with you. Well, that's the bigger question in this situation. Like, fine, you want to put Sosa in for Bohm, or you're going to move Bohm to first, give Kyle Schwarber a night off, whatever it is. Like, I don't get it. The time off of getting 3 bench players in there in one game against and I wonder if this is just me speculating with Tomper. If you remember when he came out of the All-Star break, he went right to Christopher Sanchez. The other guys had enough time off; he could have went right to the top of his order. And I think because of it, A, being a doubleheader the next day, but B, I think he had a feeling that this team was going to come out maybe had a chance of struggling the first day out of the All-Star break because time off, you got to kind of get back in rhythm, and baseball players are huge creatures of habit. So that could play a reason why that's going on. Guys, I want to remind you that this show is brought to you by Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue, right in Ridley Park, right in Delco, the heart of Delco. If you're coming from Philly, if you're coming from Delaware off 95, Ridley Park, exit 8, go right there. You're minutes away. Quizzo, music, great times, memorabilia giveaway. There's always interesting former Philly athletes hanging out the bar there. I go there all the time and hang out with some great guys. Hollis Thomas, Barrett Brooks has been there plenty of times. You see Mickey there. Even see the craziest Lenny Dykstra. I mean, you never know who's going to be there. Not always there, but you never know. So go to dolansbar.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Follow them. There's always cool things going on with PJ and the crew over at Dolan's Bar. Let me get back to some of these comments for a second. They should bring up Cody Clemens. He's been playing really good. He could give them a spark. Agreed, but I don't think Jay Cave, I don't think Cody Clemens, even Rojas, or any of these guys are going to be the real spark that this team needs. I just don't. This team needs to find its own spark and come out of it. And they can. Did it last year. It's all about, listen, most major sports, it's all about who gets hot at the right moment. But baseball is one of the biggest ones by far. So they got to find a spark somewhere, Gar. Got to find that spark somewhere. Let's see. Matty B, trade talk, TikTok. Are you TikToking and talking about trade talks, or you're asking trade deadline? You're telling me it's coming close. It is coming close. Absolutely, it's coming close. And you're looking at, I mean, a couple of the names that have been thrown around. Cody Bellinger has been one from the Cubs. He can play left field. He's definitely not a defensive upgrade in that situation. If Bryce Harper's going to be able to play first base more often, then, you can DH Kyle Schwarber a lot more and even give Nick Castellanos a breath out of right field. And especially like when he starts to struggle like he is right now, give him a day off. Let him take a break. Tommy Pham, I've even heard from the Mets. I find it hard that we're going to be able to get something from the Mets without paying through the teeth for it. That's a question too. I wrote an article recently about, with San Diego, depending on how they do. Blake Snell could be an option. Blake Snell's at the end of his contract. The team has a big contract, and they're probably a good chance that if you think about it, the couple teams behind us is the San Diego Padres and the New York Mets. Two Mets with the biggest payroll in baseball, and San Diego pretty damn close to them. So they need to unload, and so maybe Tommy Pham, you could use that as leverage to help them unload. And I think they would like a guy like Tommy Pham. I mean, there's another guy that I think would make a really big upgrade, and a guy I can see that would really fit in with the guys that they look for. Let's see. Walt said, I said to Pat yesterday, Aaron Nola to San Diego to be with his brother for I'm guessing saying Blake Snell, Bryce's buddy. Pat agreed. Yeah, I don't think I'd do it. You're not going to give up Aaron Nola to get Blake Snell. You're going to get Blake Snell and you're going to give something else up. Maybe a prospect, maybe Abel, something like that. Luckily, it would only be for a half-year rental, so you don't have to pay out the nose for a Blake Snell. But Blake Snell, I mean, because here's my thing is, this is one thing that people have been clamoring for as a fifth starter. And I keep saying a fifth starter at the deadline is not a good idea, because people are going to pay out the butt for a guy who probably would make, may not make a big difference. But come the playoffs, either gets moved to the bullpen or becomes he's a guy who rides the bench. Maybe becomes a long guy off the bench if somebody struggles at best. You need a guy who could step in to be a 2, a 3, or even a 4, but a 2 or 3. Could you imagine the difference that this lineup or this starting lineup would be, especially in a four-man rotation with Wheeler? I'd say Wheeler, Snell, Nola, either Walker or Ranger. Maybe Walker and put Ranger. Think about it. If Ranger went back to because Ranger could do anything. I mean, you put him in the bullpen, you can do anything. You put Ranger in the bullpen, you say one of these guys struggles. Say Aaron Nola has a really not great in the postseason or at the end of the season, and you can add guys in the lineup. Like, could you imagine having Ranger Suarez come in the third inning because Aaron Nola's not having a good game, and him going 5 or 6 innings, close the game out, 2 pitchers, bing bang boom, he could do the job. So it'd be interesting. It'd really be interesting to see. Let's see. Gary's saying, who should we get at the trade deadline? Well, I guess I've been talking about that. It would be perfect. I would say a starting pitcher and a bat, a left fielder, a guy who can play left field who's a defensive upgrade. Cody Bellinger, Tommy Pham, guys I talked about. But also have power, have a bat behind him, consistency. Bellinger's he's having a really good year. That's the thing is, like, does he move in from the Cubs and have a good year somewhere else, or does it change his production? That's a big question. That's a big question. Let's see, Elaine, what do they need to do to tie up Stott? Well, now Elaine, unless you're asking some dirty questions, tying up Stott, but I don't think you have to really worry about tying him up right as much as you think you do. I think let me see. I'm looking right now. He is in pre-arb this year, next year. He's not in arbitration to 2026. So they'll do something. The guy's only making base salary of league minimum $734,000. So they could probably tie him up, maybe extend him, keep arbitration at bay by giving him $5 million, like not going crazy. So they got Stott for the future. He ain't going anywhere. Dom, what's up, buddy? Big Al, what's up, man? I don't know what this team should do. I don't even know what they should trade for. The way they're playing, they're just bad at the moment. I can't even evaluate the needs of this team. Snap out of it. Yeah, no, I get it. But the needs haven't changed, Dom. To be honest with you, kind of want to reiterating some of the stuff I already said. If you're just joining in, the needs haven't changed. This team is in a slump. This team is in a slump. It's in a funk, whatever baseball terminology you want to use. They're just not doing well right now. This team can be better. We know this team's way too talented. We've heard that 1,000 times. Way too talented not to snap out of this. And it just takes a spark. Does it take, one game where Harper and JT get themselves going, and Nick gets himself right, Brandon Marsh can do what he's doing, Bohm continues to do what he's doing, Bryson Stott continues to do what he's doing, and then the starting pitching continue to do what they're doing, we're having a different conversation. Like I said, we're just lucky that things are playing out the way they're playing out. Now, I know we've gone a little longer than usual, but everybody's having really good points, really good questions. But I do want to jump into, like I said, Nick Castellanos. He's 3 for 20, 3 for his last 20. He's batting a 150 in that time, 2 RBIs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He's getting frustrated at plate. Seeing a little bit of the Nick Castellanos from last year, but hopefully K Long can help him get out of it. Bryson Stott, like I know Elaine brought him up, but I can see why she's in love with him and she wants to tie him up in more than one way. He's a point. He's a 301 average, 17 on this is on the year, 17 doubles, 2 triples, 9 home runs, 36 ribbies, 24 walks, 19 stolen bases, and only 63 strikeouts in that time frame. So, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I love him. Like, I know people have been using the Chase Utley moniker with him, and like people tend to do that. They jump to, oh, he's really good and he's playing second base, so it's Chase Utley. No, okay, let's not put that moniker on somebody. But could he be maybe one day the next Chase Utley? We'll find out. Let's see. Could he get traded? Could he get traded? If he's getting traded, it's Shohei Ohtani coming here, and they're locking up Shohei Ohtani. That's what's going on. If Bryson Stott moves, okay, it's Shohei Ohtani. That's the only real way that I see the Phillies trading Bryson Stott. Getting a guy like that you're going to have to trade for and give up something big that you currently have on your roster. But again, if you're bringing in somebody you're trying to win this year, you're not giving away a big piece. I don't see him getting traded. It's a very, very, very slim chance. I heard like if they get Nolan Arenado for third base, then Bohm is probably gone, and probably would I do that? Possibly. I mean, I love Bohm. I really like Bohm. I liked him before the whole I hate this Evan play situation, but I actually kind of really respected him for that because he owned it. He's like, yeah, I'm pissed off. Having a bad day. You guys are booing me. It pissed me off. I'll tell you right now, if I'm at work and I'm having a bad day and I'm just struggling at work and making a lot of mistakes and people started booing me, I'd be saying it out loud. I wouldn't be lipping it. So that's why I kind of respected him a little bit. It showed his like blue collar Philly aspect of him. But yeah, I mean, could he get traded? Very slim chance. Very slim chance. Anything could happen. Giants lost again. Great job, Gabe. Listen, we're lucky, and let's jump into this. I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Hold on one second. Give me a second here to share this with you. Let's look at the wild card standings. Share. Let's see. There we go. All right. I'll make it bigger for you guys. Boom. There it is. Not much bigger, but that's the NL division and wild card standings. Like I said, we are so lucky right now. We are super lucky that things have played out. That San Fran is lost and continues to lose. Like look at the wild card situation right now. We are 1.5 games out of the top seed. Top seed. That's how much swing could happen. And look how bad we've been struggling. Look at Arizona. At one point, they had the best record in baseball. Their best record in National League, I should say, not baseball. Best record in National League at one point. And they're only a game ahead of us. Miami, half a game ahead of us. San Fran, half a game ahead of us. Miami's 2-8 in their last 10. San Fran is 4-6 in their last 10. Arizona is 2-8 in their last 10. And Cincinnati's won 5 in a row, but they also lost 5 in a row before that. So, it's just interesting how it plays out. Even Atlanta, look at Atlanta's last 10. They're 4-6. Just go back. Let me just illuminate something. If you take 2 games, just 2 games over since they got back out of the All-Star break that they lost that they should have won out of either errors on the field, managerial moves, or offensive coldness, call it. We're first in the wild card spot. We are first in the wild card spot, and we're not in the double digits behind the Braves anymore. So even that's a chance for us. Steve, my man Steve. Not Topper's the greatest lineup game, whatever. Yeah, this wasn't that. This definitely a lot of it, a good amount of things fall on Topper. At this point with what happened, like seriously, like it's hard not to blame him for having 3 guys in there that shouldn't have been there. Maybe 1, 2 tops. Not pulling Schwarber to get pitch run for, a lot of little things like that. There again, things swung differently. If Harrison was Josh Harrison was 4 for 4 with 3 ribbies, he'd be a genius. You know what I mean? So it just, that's the difference between a good call and a bad call. Not if it's it's not bad if it works out. Laugh aloud. When you put it up like this, it seems like everyone is struggling. Everyone is struggling, Dom. They are struggling. We are just that lucky. We are lucky that we're struggling when everybody else is. Okay. I know a lot of people are like, I'm not worried about the Braves. We're not going to get the Braves. We can get the Braves. We still can get the Braves. But like I said, 2 games. You take 2 games since the All-Star break. And let's see how many. Let me pull that up for a second. How many games? Let's see. Let's see. Phillies schedule. Sorry, guys. I'm doing this on the fly because you got me thinking. You got me thinking, and that's never, as my wife will tell you, that's never a plus. You'll smell the smoke. So the All-Star break, they came out against San Diego. They took 3 or 4 from that one, of course. Then they lost 2 from the Brewers. They lost 2 to the Guardians, and of course they lost tonight. So say they win, just take 1 back. Just take 1, just 1 single game. They win a series first of all. If you win a series, which is important. I would have taken the Brewers one because that could be a difference between, if it's a tie at the end. We saw that last year. They just kind of fell apart at the end. But like I said, like things are hard to sustain. I've talked to them about a lot of guys, like things like people are like, oh, look at the Tampa Bay Rays. Look how good they are. I'm like, and listen, they're still a good team. Don't get me wrong. Top wild card spot. They're 61-42. I mean, you can't complain about those results. They're much better off than we are. But they slid down a little bit. Baltimore, talk about a team that just really came out of nowhere and surprised a lot of people. I mean, not that everybody's surprised that they're as good. They're better than they usually are, but they're much better than anybody expects them to be. San Fran. If there's any Giants fans listening, sorry, but it's true. Like, you guys have this like thing where you guys go out and you can win 105 games and you'll get in the playoffs and you'll just S the bed. Sorry, it is what it is. That team is the best regular season team sometimes, and then that's it, or not at all. They don't even make the playoffs. You know what I mean? They fall apart at the end of the season. They come out on fire with their hair on fire, and then they fall apart. So that's typical San Fran, especially with Gabe Kapler. Miami playing a lot better, but Miami, and I mentioned this earlier a week or two ago. Miami has the most single run games earned. I think they said earned in the 7th or 6th or 7th or later. I read that somewhere. So that means they have like 1-run games that they pull them out, but that's a hard thing to sustain when you need the bats to sustain them. They have really good defense and really good pitching. The offense just doesn't always come through, and they're able to keep guys at bay. And the Phillies are struggling against them when they play. I mean, they really need to get better against the Phillies. That's one thing. Like, we don't have another. Our next divisional game will be the Marlins in Miami again. Starting on July 31st. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But that's going to be a big series. Like, the next couple series are kind of big because you really need to try to win the series against the Orioles and the Pirates. I mean, you kind of backed yourself in the order losing to the Brewers and Guardians, right? You can't keep losing series after series. Like, 4 series in a row. That's definitely no bueno. But then going up July 31st against Miami, and that's a 4-game series. Yeah, it's a 4-game series Monday through Thursday. You need to take 3 or 4 of that if you don't continue to win, because it's going to burn us. This is not going to this is not going to continue. This will not continue. Teams will start to get better again. So will the Phillies. But who's going to do it first and who's going to do it more? That's the key factor here. So you can't rest on your laurels. Well, at least San Fran lost tonight. Well, at least Miami lost tonight. We didn't lose any ground. But you didn't gain any ground. I'm not here to kiss my sister. Sorry to make it weird, but that's what we used to call it in baseball. I'm not here to tie. I'm not here to kiss my sister. I'm here to win. It's winning. That's what so winning is done. You have to win. You have to get to the playoffs. You got to do that stuff. Nothing less for us this year. I don't want to go through another decade of or 12 years, whatever it was, of no playoffs. We all saw what Phillies playoff baseball was for us last year. We all saw what happened there. We all want that to happen again and again and again and again and again. But we were so close. And we upgraded. This team is upgraded from last year, call for what it is. Guys have gotten better already on the team. We put guys like Trey Turner in there. You upgraded the starting pitching, the whole 9 yards. This team is poised. If you put this team playing as hot as that team was last year in that position, they'd probably win that World Series. No problem. But I digress. Guys, I remind you, there's so much here coming up on EOP Sports. I hope you guys do enjoy EOP Sports. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on Facebook, please subscribe and like as well. Twitter, follow, tweet at us. Just comment along. We love talking to you guys. The interaction tonight was great, and I can feel everybody was struggling tonight. The struggles are real. But tonight you missed Birds or the Roundtable and Chalk Talk. Two great shows talking all Eagles. Eagles are coming. Their camp starts. Another day. You have the Phightins finals all week long with myself, Pat, and Mike, and Matt. And then tomorrow, Attacking Third comes at you at 9, talking Union Soccer. They have a great guy coming on, a great guest coming on, so check that out. And then Wednesday, we're back at it with Party on Broad, Philly Press Box Radio. And then, of course, I'll be back at it live 8:30 with Joe and Fred at EOP Live and in the Phightins final. Matty B will be on Thursday again for the rest of the July. Steel Steps talking wrestling, some great guests coming up as well as they have every week, it seems like anymore. Saturday, Patterson Fanatics, and Sunday, PM in the AM, and all across all the time and all that other fun stuff. That is the live show lineup. If you miss any of them and you want to go back and listen to them, you can watch YouTube, Facebook, whatever, or you can get it where you get your podcast if you want to listen to it in your car. Also, check out our YouTube channel and our EOPsports.com. We put up, Dives put out some great ones about prospects. Go on our TikTok and our YouTube for the shorts. If you want a little quick, digestible bites, talking about upcoming college players who could maybe be future Eagles or other key players in the NFL, and also other 4for4 and more sports bites going on. So there's a lot of things going on, guys. I have rambled on enough tonight. We're almost at the hour marker. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. I want to thank everybody. Hopefully we worked as each other's psychiatrist for dealing with this. Maybe I should get rid of the chair and get a couch. Have you guys come in individually. We'll talk about this, but I'm glad you guys were here to talk to me. Maybe I was helping answer some questions for you. You guys helped me. Some of these things I came up with kind of popped in my head because of some of these great questions. So please feel free to chime in. We really enjoy the interaction with you guys. But other than that, the Phillies will be back at it tomorrow. So let's see what that. Whoa. Matty B's going to fire me if I don't do this right. We got to look at the scores around the league today. The Houston Texans are the Houston Texans. The Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers are tied 9-9 at the bottom of the ninth right now. Pittsburgh is winning over San Diego 8-3 at the top of the sixth. St. Louis is beating Arizona. Again, two teams that we want losing right now. 5-3 bottom of the sixth, so hopefully that continues. Toronto's on top of LA. It's good to hear. 2-0, top of the fifth. San Fran lost to Detroit today. Colorado beat Washington 10-6. Cleveland lost to Kansas City 5-3. Seattle lost to Minnesota 4-3. And Milwaukee beat Cincinnati 3-2. So that is your out-of-town scoreboard. Elaine, fun stuff. Hey, Elaine, love you. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you're new to the network. Hopefully I get to talk to you again. I really get to know you guys. We really get to like you guys. We're going to have some cool things coming out, new things coming out in the next couple of weeks between now and the end of the summer, to be honest with you. Some contests, hopefully get some freebie stuff out to you guys, especially those guys who chime in a lot. Love to hook you guys up with some stuff. We enjoy you guys. Thank you, Elaine. We do a Phightins final. It's not always right at the end of the game. We try to fit it in around if there's shows going on, but we try to go post game as soon as the game is over so we get that live reaction. But look for us. We will have one. Trust me. Brand new. All right, Elaine, great to hear. Hopefully you hit that subscribe button. Thank you. And check out all our great sponsors here at EOP. Like I said, sherrystickets.com. Let me take that down. Check them out at sherrystickets.com. Sports, concert, anywhere you need it. Get no hidden fees. You will do better than the other places. I will tell you now, and you'll save additional 10% off using that great promo code EOP10. If you get hurt at work, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, you name it, Dave Cherry's got it, cherryinjurylaw.com, or call him at 610-565-0300. If you're looking to get out of Dodge and go out to maybe San Diego to watch the Phillies take on the Padres in September, go to phillysportstrips.com. You want to put your money down and go to London next year, check it out. Mets, Phillies, London. They already have a trip. You want to go to one of the amazing away games for the Eagles? You name it, they got it. Different prices, different, affordable across the board. Check them out. Great. I know it's a little early to talk because tomorrow is Christmas in July, but great stocking stuffers. You can start shopping now for people's birthdays, Christmases, anniversaries, you name it, you got it. PhillySportsStrip.com, and you don't have to leave your home. And don't forget Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue, right in Delco, Ridley Park, right off 95, south of the airport, north of Wilmington. You name it, you can get there in moments. DolansBar.com. Check it out. And let's see. Matty B needs to yell at Crucker and T-Mac for riding the umps. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But guys, I'll actually in August I'll be down at the games, covering the games in the press box. So I'll be sending some pictures internally, sending things out on our social media as well. I'll get my schedule out so you guys can see, maybe and get some early stuff out for you guys. So we'll be down there at the stadium covering the games as we do. I'll be talking to you guys later. Thank you for joining me. Like I said on Big Al, Phillies are back at it tomorrow. Let me see who's on the mound and all that stuff. They are back at it tomorrow. It is a 6:40 start again. It's Walker versus Gibson. That's right. We'll find out how that works out, guys. Thank you for joining me. Check us out next time. I am out of here.